Today, you'll hear a story about forbidden desires, hidden thoughts, and one decision that will forever change the lives of 4 people. Imagine a quiet coastal town, where everyone knows each other, but no one suspects the passions and secrets hiding behind the doors of a cozy home. A mother and daughter, 2 men, and one reckless choice that sets off a chain of events with unexpected, life-altering consequences. So, are you ready? Then let's begin. I lived in a small coastal town in Maine, where the days drifted by slowly, carried on the salty breeze of the ocean and the cries of seagulls. I was a happy wife and mother, fully immersed in the quiet simplicity of our family life. My husband, Richard, was 10 years older than me, a confident, energetic man and the owner of a successful construction company. His deep brown eyes and neatly combed black hair always caught people's attention, and his calm voice made me feel safe and protected. With him, I felt loved and desired. We met when I had just turned 17. I was young, naive, and inexperienced. Maybe that's what made Richard's mature strength so magnetic. He knew what he wanted and how to get it. Everything happened fast, and just a few months later, we were married. None of our relatives doubted our feelings were real. Soon, our daughter Emily was born. She looked just like me, delicate facial features, striking green eyes, and soft auburn hair that caught attention even in her early childhood. I often caught myself thinking how lucky I was, to have Richard, to have Emily, to have this life. Our home was full of warmth and love. It felt like nothing could ever disturb that peace. But happiness doesn't always last. One evening, the phone rang. That sound still echoes in my memory, like something alien, unreal. It was a call from the police. A few short, horrifying words: "Your husband died in a car accident." In a single moment, everything collapsed. My life, my world, my stability, it all vanished that night. I was only 28. Emily was 8. I tried to stay strong for her, but inside, I was falling into a void. Every corner of the house reminded me of him. His belongings, his scent, his voice living in my mind. At night, I would cry into my pillow so she wouldn't hear me. I kept a brave face during the day and crumbled at night. I didn't know how to keep going. Years passed. And only then did I begin to allow myself the thought that maybe I needed someone again. I was tired of loneliness, of the cold side of the bed, of evenings soaked in memories and longing. I still carried Richard in my heart, but I knew life doesn't stop. That's when Tom came into my life. He showed up to fix a leaking pipe. A quiet, humble man, a little shy. Nothing like Richard. Not at all. Average height, lean, with soft features, light brown tousled hair, and kind, slightly timid blue eyes. He wasn't flashy, he didn't stand out, but there was something solid about him. Something real. Our relationship developed slowly. He didn't push, didn't pressure, didn't demand. He was simply there. And gradually, I began to open up to him, letting this gentle and dependable man into my broken heart and into my life. A few months later, I agreed to marry him. I hoped I'd find the quiet peace with him that I'd missed so deeply after Richard's death. We had a small, modest wedding, no fanfare, no crowd. I kept telling myself that stability mattered more than passion. That it was the right thing. That I needed it. That Emily needed it. But deep inside, I knew, there was no spark. My heart didn't beat the way it once did. I didn't feel what I had felt with Richard. Still, I stayed silent. I told myself this was adult love. The kind that's built on reliability. What I didn't know was that fate had other plans. That the trials ahead would change everything. And force me to question not just my choices, but who I really was. I looked at Tom sleeping beside me and felt silence. Not peace, not joy, not even contentment, just silence. He breathed steadily, snoring slightly the way he always did when work wore him out. I lay on my back, staring at the ceiling, thinking, is this how it's going to be now? No butterflies, no nights when my skin burned with desire, no aching need just to be closer. It was warm, it was calm, but inside me, a cold, hollow ringing grew louder with each day. I went into the kitchen, poured myself a glass of red wine, and curled up at the table. The breeze from the ocean swayed the curtains, and memories of Richard filled my mind, his hands, his laughter, the way he made me feel alive. I couldn't blame Tom. He was kind. He tried. But it felt like a still pond after a wild waterfall. Emily was growing fast. She was already 15 and becoming more beautiful with each passing day. Her long chestnut hair, slim figure, and confident, mature gaze. I used to feel men's eyes on me when we walked together. Now I realized, they weren't looking at me anymore. That hurt more than I wanted to admit. Sometimes, I caught Tom watching her too. Not in a vulgar way, just too long. Too intent. I brushed the thoughts away. He's not like that. He's kind. He's just surprised at how quickly she's grown. But still, every time his gaze lingered longer than it should have, something inside me tensed. One evening, I walked into the living room and saw them sitting on the couch, watching TV. She laughed, tossing her hair back, and he smiled at her. Nothing unusual. And yet, I felt something tighten in my chest. "Everything okay?" he asked when he saw me in the doorway. "Yeah," I forced out and walked into the kitchen. That night, I couldn't sleep. I hated myself for the thoughts, for the jealousy, for that feeling, that I was getting older, and someone younger, fresher, more desirable was taking my place. Years went by. Emily turned 22. She graduated from college and got a job at a design studio. Then came Jason. Tall, confident, with steel gray eyes and a casual shadow of a beard. He reminded me of Richard, not in looks, but in presence. He radiated masculinity. I felt it the moment I met him, though I tried hard not to show it. When he first came over, I made dinner, wore a simple black dress that fit perfectly, and even put on some lipstick. It was silly. I knew that. But something inside me stirred. I wanted to feel like a woman again. Not a housewife. Not a mother. A woman. "Thank you for dinner, Mrs. Whitmore," Jason said, his eyes lingering on my lips. Or did I imagine it? "Call me Claire," I said, smiling. He nodded slightly and turned away, and I realized my heart was beating faster. Soon, they got married. I was happy for Emily. But within 6 months, I started to notice tension in her eyes. She'd sit across from me in the kitchen, stirring her tea with a spoon, avoiding my gaze. "Mom, have you ever felt like being intimate is just too much sometimes?" I blinked, caught off guard. "What do you mean?" "Jason, he's too much. All the time. I don't get a break, and he still wants more. It's never enough. I don't know what to do." I said nothing. Because in that moment, I envied her. I wanted someone to want me that way, hungrily, endlessly. Tom was gentle, attentive, but far from passionate. Our nights had become quiet, spaced out, formal. And inside me, the longing for the woman I used to be grew stronger. I reached out and touched her hand. "Did you talk to him about it?" "He said if I can't give him what he wants, he'll find someone who can." I pressed my lips together. My heart raced. A thought had already started to form in my head. Wild. Forbidden. But too tempting to ignore. That night, I lay in bed next to Tom, staring into the darkness. My fingers traced the edge of the sheet while my mind kept circling back to Emily's words, and to Jason. I knew no one would ever understand. I knew it could destroy everything. But I also knew I couldn't live in this cold emptiness much longer. And one day, I'd take a step I could never undo. I can't say exactly when my thoughts began to turn dangerous. It all started as a quiet whisper, barely a voice, something I tried to push away. But it always came back. Every time Emily spoke about her arguments with Jason, about how pushy he was, how he never gave her space. I would listen, nod, comfort her, and envy her. I envied the fact that she was wanted. That she was desired. That even through the pain, she felt alive. He's like obsessed, she told me one night, wiping her tears with her sleeve. I come home exhausted, and he just doesn't care. He touches me constantly, insists, demands. It's too much, Mom. I can't keep up. I looked at her, and something inside me started to crack open. I didn't want her to suffer. I truly wanted to help her. But I also wanted to feel that gaze on me again. That touch. That kind of passion that leaves you breathless. One evening, while I was making dinner, Tom came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist, and kissed my neck. "You smell like cinnamon," he whispered. I closed my eyes, trying to feel anything. But there was nothing. Only the thought, not you. You're not the one I want. I pulled away abruptly and pretended to hear the door. Sounds like Emily's back. She walked in with slumped shoulders and a tired expression. Jason wasn't with her. He stayed at the gym, she muttered, dropping into a chair. Says he needs to let off steam. I don't know what to do anymore. Did you tell him how it makes you feel? I asked gently. I did. And he said if I can't be on the same wavelength, he'll find someone who is. I felt something boiling inside me. Was it anger? Sympathy? Or jealousy? Maybe all of it. Sweetheart, I moved closer, taking her hand. Maybe you need to take some space. Just a short break? She looked at me, startled. You think he'll suddenly change if I just disappear for a few days? I didn't answer. Because I knew the truth. No, he wouldn't. But maybe if. Stop. I shouldn't be thinking this. This is madness. Sorry to interrupt you, just for a moment. If you haven't subscribed yet, please take a second to do so. It's completely free, takes just 5 seconds, and it means everything to me and to the growth of this channel. And if this story resonates with you, hit that like button. Thank you, truly, for your support. Now, let's get back to the story. But the next day, I couldn't help myself. I pulled an old dress out of the back of the closet, tight, black, with a deep neckline. The one Richard once saw and said, "I'll marry you, even if you say no." I slipped it on, looked at myself in the mirror, and for the first time in a long while, I felt it. I'm still a woman. I still can. That evening, Jason stopped by, supposedly to talk to Emily. She was at her friend's house. I knew. I made sure of it. "Hi, Jason. Come in." "She'll be back soon," I said, guiding him into the kitchen. He stepped in, glanced around. "She's not here?" "No. But you can wait." "Coffee?" He nodded. I leaned forward toward the table, knowing he was watching. I saw the way his eyes followed me. I felt the tension crackle in the air. "She told me about the trouble you two are having," I said as I sat across from him. "I understand how hard it can be when your desires don't align." He stiffened. She told you?" "She's my daughter. She tells me everything. And believe me, I understand more than you think." I traced the rim of my cup with my finger, keeping my voice calm. "I've also felt the pain of lacking passion." And then I realized, we all have our own paths. Our own wants. Our own needs. His expression softened. He didn't speak, but there was a shift in his eyes, interest. That look. The one I'd missed so much. I hadn't crossed the line. Not yet. But I was standing right at its edge. I could feel how the fragile border between thoughts and actions was beginning to blur. My daughter. My son-in-law. My hunger. This was madness. But, God, how I wanted to stop feeling dead inside. I didn't say it out loud at first. It started as just thoughts, wild, shameful, but persistent. They came to me in the silence. Once Tom was asleep and I lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling. I imagined how it could be. What if, me, with him, and her, with him? We switch. Just once. For the sake of saving something. For love. For her. Yes. For her. That's what I kept telling myself. I knew how it sounded. Insanity. Depravity. But it felt like a solution. He wanted passion. She wanted peace. Tom was quiet, simple, dependable. He wasn't passionate, he wasn't demanding. He was the kind of man who could offer a shoulder and ask for nothing in return. And Jason, he was the opposite. The kind of man who would burn everything down if he didn't get what he wanted. So wouldn't it be better to give him what he craved, so he would stay with her? So he wouldn't leave her for someone else? We were sitting in the kitchen, Emily and I. I had thought it through. It was time to say it. Everything. Honestly. I was terrified. Terrified of losing her, of how she might react. But more than anything, I was afraid she'd walk into the darkness alone. That she'd cry again. That he would leave her. And I would just sit there, hands folded in my lap, saying nothing. "Mom," she said, looking at me like she already knew I had something terrible on my mind. "What are you thinking?" I took a deep breath. God, it was so hard. "I'm thinking you don't have to lose him. That maybe, there's a way." She frowned. "What way?" "Maybe," I hesitated, swallowed, and said it, "maybe if he gets what he wants, he'll stay. And you'll get a break." A pause. A chance to breathe. "What do you mean?" I looked her straight in the eyes. I could be the one to give it to him. Just once. If he wants passion, he'll get it. And you'll stay his wife. A thick silence fell. Emily's face turned pale. Her eyes widened. She didn't breathe. "Mom. Did you just say what I think you said? You said yourself you're overwhelmed. I'm just offering a strange, but rational solution. I'm a grown woman. I can. I'm willing." She shot to her feet, as if slapped. "That's disgusting. You're my mother. How could you even suggest such a thing? I want to help. That's all, Emily. No one has to know. This isn't about love. It's about saving something." "Saving something? Or saving yourself?" I didn't answer. Because part of what she said was true. Yes, I wanted it too. I wanted to feel desirable again. I envied her. I looked at Jason, and I wanted him. Wanted him like I once wanted Richard. And I couldn't deny it. "You're sick," she whispered. "I'm leaving." "Wait. Just think about it. I'm not asking for permission. Just think." She walked out without looking back. I sat there, hands limp in my lap, my throat tight with pain. I knew I might have just destroyed everything. But I also knew I had spoken the truth. 2 days passed. I thought she'd never speak to me again. But one evening, she came into my room. She knocked. Gently. Hesitantly. "Mom," she said, barely above a whisper. "What if he says yes?" I looked up. My heart dropped. "He will," I replied. "I'm sure of it. Just trust me. It will be right." Emily didn't cry. But I could see the storm in her eyes. Still, she nodded. Just once. Softly. I turned off the light. I knew there was no turning back now. I prepared for the evening like it was a performance, where I was the actress, the director, and the sacrifice. Every detail had been planned: a champagne-colored dress, form-fitting but not vulgar, light makeup, soft curls in my hair. My lips painted a warm wine shade. I wanted to look alluring, but not desperate. Feminine, but not intrusive. The kind of woman Jason had never seen me as. The kind I once was, for Richard. When he knocked, I was already ready. Inside, I was trembling. But on the outside, calm, composed, not a single sign of hesitation. I opened the door with a gentle smile. "Hi, Jason. Come on in. Emily's at her friend's." He stepped in, looking around, uncertain, cautious. I noticed how his gaze lingered on the curve of my hip, the neckline of my dress. I pretended not to notice and walked toward the kitchen. "Would you like some coffee?" Yeah, thanks." I set out the cups, bending just a little lower than usual. He sat down, his hands folded stiffly on his lap. The tension in the air was heavy. "I know things with Emily have been difficult lately," I began calmly, sitting across from him. He lowered his eyes, silent for a moment. "She told you?" "Of course. But I'm not judging. I understand. Sometimes in marriage, desires don't align. Yours are just more intense." He gave a strained smile. "Too intense, maybe. Not too intense. Just, for the wrong person." I paused. "Or maybe, just at the wrong time." He looked up, studying me. His eyes held a mix of doubt and longing. I leaned forward slightly, placed my hand gently over his. "You're a good man. I know you're suffering. And she is too. But I can help. You're serious." His voice was hoarse. I didn't answer with words. I stood, walked toward him, took his hand, and led him into the living room. We stopped near the couch. The lights were dim. Outside, the ocean murmured. I looked him in the eyes. "If you want to stop, say so. But if not, just trust me." He didn't pull away. He didn't say a word. His hands wrapped around my waist, carefully, as if he feared I might vanish. I raised my palms to his face, traced along his cheek, his neck, and pressed my body to his. His breathing deepened. He inhaled the scent of my skin. "You smell like cinnamon," he whispered, almost exactly as Richard once had. My back arched as his fingers found the zipper on my dress. It slipped from my shoulders easily, like it was meant to fall. I stood before him in delicate lingerie, and in that moment, everything inside me burned, not just from desire, but from fear, guilt, and the thrill of feeling alive again. His lips were warm, urgent. He kissed my neck, my collarbones, my chest. We fell onto the couch, and for the first time in years, I felt not just like a woman, but like someone alive. Alive to the point of pain, of tears. "Are you sure?" he asked as his hand moved lower. "Yes," I breathed. "Right now, yes." It was fast, hungry, wild. He held me tightly, like he was afraid to lose me. I clawed at his back, bit my lips, moaned, because the dam inside me had finally burst. No more pretending. No more holding back. No thoughts, no guilt, no restraint. When it was over, I lay on his chest, trying to catch my breath, and I felt the tears run down my cheeks. He didn't see. And I couldn't stop them. "Thank you," he whispered. "I don't even know how to." I pressed a finger to his lips. "Don't speak. Just go. Go home. To her." He left. I stayed on the couch, half-dressed, in the dark. I didn't move for a long time. Because I knew, nothing would ever be the same again. And Emily would feel it. And so would I. I didn't sleep at all that night. My body still remembered his touch, while my mind was tearing itself apart. One question kept echoing inside me: what have I done? It no longer felt like a solution. It had become a deeper problem than the one we tried to fix. I had betrayed my daughter. And no matter how much I told myself it was for her, I knew it was a lie. I needed it. I did. Not her. In the morning, I came down to the kitchen. Emily was already sitting at the table with a cup of coffee. Her face was unreadable, like stone. Her eyes, dry. "Did he come to you?" she asked calmly, not looking up from her cup. I nodded in silence. "Did it happen?" she asked like it was a routine medical procedure. "Yes," I said. "He left right after." She took a slow breath in and out, and I noticed her fingers trembling. "I don't know if I'll ever be able to look either of you in the eye again," she whispered. "Either of you?" "Emily," I stepped closer. "You gave me permission. You knew why he was coming." "I knew. But it's one thing to think it. It's another to know it actually happened." I sat across from her, but she stood immediately. "I need time," she said. "Anne. I don't want to see him right now." "You don't want to know how he reacted?" I couldn't help but ask. "No. Because if I hear that he enjoyed it, she didn't finish. I'll just walk away." A day passed. Then two. Jason didn't show up. I thought he was avoiding both of us. But on the third night, he came. "Hey," his voice was unsure, like even he couldn't believe he was there. Emily walked past him to her room without a glance. He stayed in the kitchen with me. We stood in silence for a while before he finally spoke. "I think I can't keep this in anymore." My whole body tensed. "What do you mean?" He stepped closer and touched my hand. "I think I'm in love with you." It was like all the air had left the room. "No, Jason. No, no. This wasn't about us. This was a sacrifice. A one-time thing. That's it." He shook his head slowly. "Maybe for you. But not for me." That night, I lay in bed thinking about how wrong everything had gone. I had destroyed everything. It wasn't just Emily who was hurting now. I was too. Because I was guilty. Because I didn't stop when I still had the chance. And the next evening, the moment I feared the most came true. Emily walked into my bedroom. Her eyes were swollen with tears. "He told me," her voice shook, "that he loves you. That you're the one he wanted all along." I sat up straight. A chill ran down my spine. "Emily. Don't. Just don't." Her voice cracked. "You stole him from me. You pretended to help me, but all along, you wanted him for yourself." "That's not true," I whispered, my hands clenched. "It is," she screamed. "You're just like those women you always said you hated. You slept with your own daughter's husband." I had no defense. Because she was right. "Get out of my life, Mom. You're no longer my mother." And she left. And I stayed. With what I had done. And the realization, the point of no return was behind me. All that remained now, was the price to pay. After her words, the house felt different. As if it had died. No sound, no breath. Only the echo of my own footsteps, the anxious creak of floorboards, and the feeling that the walls were watching me in judgment. Emily left in the morning. I heard the front door slam, then the thud of suitcase wheels bumping down the steps. I didn't run after her. I didn't call her name. Because I no longer had the right. The kitchen still smelled of coffee. I poured myself a cup but didn't take a single sip. My hands were shaking. My lips were dry. I stared into the empty window and thought about how quickly everything can be lost. Not all at once. But by a decision. A desire. An excuse. I had walked step by step toward the edge. And then I jumped. The phone lay next to me, silent. I stared at the screen like it was a sentence. From her, silence. From him, silence too. Until night fell. The doorbell rang. I opened it. Tom stood there, suitcase in hand. "You really thought I didn't notice?" he asked, his voice quiet, almost calm. I said nothing. He stepped inside, glanced around the empty hallway, the shoes Emily had left behind that I hadn't put away. You thought I didn't know you slept with her husband? I dropped my gaze. He stepped closer, leaned in, and whispered. You didn't just betray your daughter. You betrayed yourself. And that's worse. Then he left. He didn't slam the door. He just left. For good. That night, Jason called. Claire. I can't live without you. I sat up in bed, clutching the phone. It's too late, Jason. We burned the bridge. Burned it all. I'm waiting. If you say the word, I'll come. We can start over. Anywhere. What about Emily? I asked. She left. I tried. I cut him off. I destroyed everything. And now I have to face it. Alone. He was silent for a moment. Then he said quietly. I'll wait. Always. I hung up. No goodbye. No promises. Because I couldn't give him hope. Not now. Weeks passed. I lived in the house alone. Without Emily. Without Tom. Without Jason. I moved through the rooms, collecting the broken pieces of myself, wondering, at what point does a woman stop being a mother, just to be a woman again? Where is that line? And can it ever be crossed without consequences? I wrote letters to Emily. I never sent them. I just wrote. Forgive me. I loved you. I still love you. And maybe that's why I did something unforgivable. But there was no reply. One evening, someone knocked on the door again. I opened it. Jason stood there. No words. No smile. Something shattered in his eyes. He took my hand, brought it to his lips. Do you really think it's over, Claire? We're not finished. And I realized, this nightmare wasn't over. It was just beginning. And so, this story comes to an end, a tale of forbidden desires, shattered boundaries, and the heavy price we pay for a single wrong step. When a mother becomes a rival, when passion clouds reason, and love turns into a weapon, all that's left is ashes. This wasn't a story about victory. It was about consequences. About how easily everything can fall apart when temptation wins. But what do you think? Who carries more blame? Could you forgive such a betrayal? Tell me in the comments, what would you have done in her place, or her daughter's? Your thoughts matter. Not only to me, but to the growth of this channel. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. There are many more powerful, emotional stories ahead. And I'll see you tomorrow.